Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are discussing the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We discussed the verses 35 and 36. Last verse, 36, Lord Krishna started singing the Mahatmya, the glory or the greatness of the knowledge, where Lord Krishna compared the knowledge to a boat with which the wise person crosses the ocean of samsara, ocean of birth and death, because that's what sin or karma means. Having said that, a question is how, when you say that you cross over the ocean of karma, technically speaking, after crossing the ocean continues to remain, the karma remains. So, jnanam katham nashayati papamiti. How does the knowledge destroy the karma? So, the word papa in the earlier verse can be simply translated as karma, but papa was said as a negative action, as a violent action to sing the glory of the knowledge. How does knowledge make me liberated from the bondage of karma? Lord Krishna explains that with an example, illustration, the verse number 37. So let us read that verse. Yathedhamsi samidhognihi bhasmasat kurute Arjuna jnanagnis sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. यथा समिद्ध अग्नि एदांसी भस्मसात कुरुते हे अर्जुन. He Arjuna, O Arjuna, yatha, a manner in which was similar to Samiddha Agni. Samiddha Samyak Iddaha, the very well lighted fire. So, when the fire is well lighted, edamsi bhasmasat kurute. So the Samit, blazing fire. How the blazing fire, bhasmasat kurute, turns to bhasma or ash. Edamsi, this means fuel. So edamsi, the fuel or the wood. So how the wood is turned to ashes by the blazing fire. That's an illustration. So whatever be the kind of wood, by the way, the fire turns all the wood without distinction to ashes. When we place the wood in blazing fire, maybe each log of wood is different from the other one, but when they all turn to ash, there is no distinction at all. Wood is something very heavy. Ashes have no weight at all. So ashes that are the result of subject to the blazing fire of knowledge, or the ashes of karma that Lord Shiva smears on his body. So just as a blazing fire turns to ashes, all the fuel or the firewood is turned to ashes. Jnanagnihi sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha, in a manner similar to that bit. Jnanagnihi, the fire of knowledge, sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute. In a manner similar to that, the fire of knowledge turns all the karma into ashes. Earlier example was how the boat of knowledge enables me to cross the ocean of karma. Here the illustration says how the fire of knowledge turns all the karma into ashes. Karma is completely burned to ashes. Here this refers to a mantra from the Upanishad. Vidyate hrude granthi chidyante sarva samshayaha kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drushte paravare. A very famous mantra from the Mundaka Upanishad. Tasmin drushte paravare. The para, the superior, avara, the inferior. Para Ishvara, avara, jiva. Tasmin drushte paravare. When one sees the identity of the jiva and Ishvara, when one sees oneself as Brahman, vidyate hridaya granthi, all the complexes are completely removed, destroyed, cut asunder. What are the complexes? I am so and so, which we described. How variety of complexes arise on account of identification of the body, mind, sense complex. Vidyate hridaya granthi, all these granthis, the knots, are cut asunder. Chidyante sarva samshaya, all the doubts are also removed. Kshiyante chasya karmane, and all the karmas also kshiyante, get exhausted. So one way of looking upon bondage is the bondage of karma. Inasmuch as this body is the result of the karmas performed in the past births, and this body in turn becomes the again instrument of performing new karma, which result into the next birth. Thus karma is looked upon as the cause of this unceasing chain of birth and death. Therefore, bondage is described as the bondage of karma. Therefore, being released from the bondage of karma is release or moksha. Arjuna will be liberated when all your karmas will be destroyed. You become free from the bondage of karma, meaning that now there is no next birth for you. That's what it means. Karma is the cause of the next birth, or keeping you bound in the chain of the birth and death. You will become free from the bondage of karma. And just to remind what we said in the earlier class, is by knowing the true nature of myself, I discover that I am actionless self. Neva kinchit karomi, I don't do anything anyway. The sense organs are interacting with their sense objects. in my presence. I am the self, the conscious presence, or presence that is consciousness, and all actions are performed. Meaning that I don't speak. The speaking takes place in my presence. I don't hear. The hearing takes place in my presence. I don't walk. I don't talk. I don't perform the actions, perform the level of organs of perception, organs of action, the mind, the prana. They all take place in my presence. I'm the actionless self. It is this knowledge which creates the real distance between the action and myself. I, the self, never perform the actions. Ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma, the one whose mind is variously deluded by various complexes arising from the identification with his body, mind, sense complex, thinks that I am performing action. That I perform the action is a notion, not a reality. By the Viveka Jnanam, the knowledge where the self is distinguished from the non-self, I discover that I am the actionless self. In that sense, you become free from the bondage of action. Action did not bind to begin with. What bound me is the notion of kartrutva, the notion of doership. That's what binds. And the knowledge reveals that I am actionless self. And that is how I become free from all the actions. But here in terms of action, the role of knowledge is described as how the knowledge, self-knowledge, destroys all the actions to ashes, destroys all the actions. These actions are classified as of three categories: sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, agami karma. Sanchita karma. Sanchita means those were accumulated. The karma, by karma we mean the subtle effect of karma, the karma phala. When you perform any deliberate action, then it leaves its impression in the mind. At the same time, that action will bring about the result. If the result is not brought about in this lifetime, then it remains in form impression in my mind to be experienced later on. So thus in countless past births, I would have accumulated so many unexhausted actions. If an action results into, brings about a result in this lifetime, then it is over with. We are over with. But action performed in this lifetime does not bring about the result during this lifetime, then it is carried forward in my account. So we can imagine that in countless births, countless these actions are carried forward. They are called sanchita karma. All actions accumulated in the past births. And what is meant by bondage of action is that these actions will continue to give new births. After I am done with this lifespan, and all those sanchita or accumulated actions are waiting to express themselves. And a part of that which is the most powerful will express themselves and result into the next embodiment. When those results are exhausted, other actions are waiting for another embodiment. The sanchita karmas are countless really. And therefore if sanchita or accumulated actions continue to be effective, then they will bring countless births. And what happens is that this body and this life is a result of the past karma. And while living this life, I perform new actions, and again, therefore, I accumulate more karma phala. And this add into my store of sanchita karma. In that sense, action is compared to ocean, which unending cycle. Sanchita karma. When I depart from this body, then of the vast storage of sanchita karma, some of the actions which are most powerful, they result into my next embodiment. You can say that all these fixed deposits are there, part of it has matured, and that gives me some mature action. They give me the next embodiment. So that portion of the action, which is the cause of this embodiment, is called prarabdha karma. Prarabdham prakarshena arabdham. Very well, that which is very well started bringing about the effect. So this body, the prarabdha karma, which is also called destiny, decides what kind of birth I am going to have, what will be the lifespan, and what will be the various situations I'll be meeting in my life. All of this is sort of decided by the destiny called prarabdha karma. Just to remind you, the whole life is not just destiny, is a very important aspect of our life. As human beings, however, we also have free will. We have the freedom to perform deliberate actions and influence the destiny and create a new destiny. Which freedom is not available to the rest of the living beings, so that is how human being is distinguished. But prarabdha karma, destiny, is a very important aspect of our life. That's why everybody is different from everybody else. I'm what I am and you are what you are, because I have my own history of karma and you have your own history of karma, and therefore that history has brought about this embodiment, that history has brought about that embodiment. My karma makes what I am, rich or poor, sinner or saint, successful or failure. All of this is determined basically by the prarabdha karma, the destiny, and therefore each one's life is different. People are happy, unhappy, wealthy, poor. All this variety, diversity, disparity can be all explained by this karma. So I have to exhaust my destiny, prarabdha karma. And then, as I live my life, I continue to perform new actions which will bring about new result, which will have result in the future. So then those actions that I perform now, which will bring about the result in future, are called agami karma. Kriyamana karma, actions being performed now, agami, those will bring about result in future. So that is how the karma is classified into three categories. Sanchita karma, all the actions or the results of the actions accumulated in the past countless births, which have not yet begun to give their fruit, which are all waiting for a suitable time or occasion to give rise to their result. Sanchita karma. Prarabdha karma, that part of sanchita karma which has already started giving rise to the result, which has resulted in this body and this life. And agami karma, the action that I perform now, which will bring about result later. Kshiyante chasya karmani. Upanishad says that all the karmas become exhausted. Karmani is plural. Plural is used for three or more. In Sanskrit, singular for one, dual for two, plural for three and more. So karmani, all the three kinds of actions, they become exhausted. Meaning that the fire of knowledge burns all the actions. Here Bhashyakara makes a technical point that knowledge cannot burn action. Knowledge cannot burn something. Knowledge can only remove ignorance, that's all. Just as light can only dispel darkness and reveal the nature of reality, so also knowledge simply removes the ignorance of the self. It does not destroy the karma. What is meant by the karmas being destroyed is the karmas become ineffective. They cannot have any effect on me, on the wise person, because I know that I am actionless self. Karmas do have effect on the upadhi. So prarabdha karma, the destiny which has brought about the results, it is this body. The prarabdha karmas have to be exhausted, they have to be experienced. Therefore, a wise person also will continue to live as long as destiny demands. Tasya tavadev chiram yavanna vimokshe ata sampatsye. There is a statement in the Chandogya Upanishad which says that even for a wise person also, he has to wait until this body also comes to an end. Then of course he attains moksha in an absolute sense. He is liberated here also. But to the onlookers looks like he is putting up with all kinds of pleasure and pain. So prarabdha karma will work its way out, and the wise person also has to go through whatever experiences the prarabdha karma presents before him or her. But as far as sanchita karmas are concerned, as far as all the actions that are accumulated are concerned, have no effect at all now. Because the entity that performed those actions is no more there. The sanchita karmas, where all accumulated actions are compared to, the actions performed by a dreamer. The person while dreaming also performs actions. And while dreaming also experiences the consequence of those actions during the dream. Once the person wakes up, then he is no more accountable for what the dreamer did. Because the dreamer is gone. Along with the dreamer, all the actions that the dreamer performed are also gone. And the waker is no more accountable for what the dreamer did. Thank God. Otherwise, I may have to go to prison for what I did in the dream. I don't have to. Thank God. Similarly also, the wise person has woken up. Yas sakshat kurute prabodha same svatmanamevadvayam. The wise person also is like dreaming. Pashyan atmani maya bahirvod bhutam yatha nidraya. Like dream he was experiencing, and now he has woken up to his true nature. Svatmanamevadvayam. He sees now himself as non-dual self. So he's woken up from this Dirgha Swapna, or this long dream, and the dreamer is no more there. So all this Sanchita karma, accumulated actions were all performed by the ignorant self, who is no more. And therefore, the enlightened self, the wise person, who has no identification at all now, is no more accountable for the actions performed in the past. But therefore, by virtue of knowledge, the wise person becomes free from the effect of all sanchita karma, all accumulated action. As far as the actions performed now on the part of a wise person, so long as sanchita karma also goes, all the karma that are performed by the wise person when he was not wise, they fall in the same category as the dreamer. So they also is free from that. Actions now being performed by the wise person also, he doesn't perform really, which we discussed in great detail. Karmanyavi pravrittovi naiva kinchit karoti. So Lord Krishna said earlier that because he is free from sense of doership, therefore, even though performing action in their entirety, he doesn't perform any action from his own standpoint. Like the actor, from his own standpoint, does not perform any action. He doesn't beg. He is not king. He is not a beggar from his own standpoint. Therefore, the wise person does not become affected by action that are now performed after the wisdom. So agami karma do not touch him. The illustration, yatha pushkara palasha nashlishyate. Just as a lotus leaf is not wetted by water, so also the actions performed by a wise person do not in any way affect him. Therefore, no result he has to experience of the actions performed in this lifetime. Only third category, which is the prarabdha karma, which he has to go through, which also he does not go through from his own standpoint, understand. The karma only has effect upon the upadhi. The karma has given rise to upadhi, and karma continues to have effect only on upadhi. We feel that we are affected by karma because we are identified with upadhi. When that identification is not there, karma continues to have effect on the body. Basically. Which means that the old age, disease, all of that will come. Success, failure, these situations will happen according to destiny. But as far as the wise person is concerned, he is not affected. So that way he is free from all the karma. However, the prarabdha karma continues his body. And therefore, there is an entity called a living wise person, or called Jivan Muktaha, the one liberated while living. This is very important to make note of. Because there is an argument, a strong argument, that when knowledge takes place, ignorance gets destroyed. When ignorance gets destroyed, the effect of ignorance also will get destroyed. And this body is a result of ignorance. Therefore, when ignorance goes, the body, the result of ignorance also should go. Which means that once the wisdom takes place, the wise person will depart. If that argument is accepted, then we will not have any living wise entities at all. moment you gain the wisdom, you leave this body. But the mainstream Vedanta does not accept that argument. Say that there is an entity called Jivan Mukta, living, liberated while living. Because the body does not bind you, and therefore the body does not do anything to you. But Swami, you said that the ignorance, knowledge should destroy ignorance. It should destroy the result of ignorance also. Then how do you explain that knowledge has taken place? This the body, which is the result of ignorance, still remains. So therefore in Shastra they use a word like avidya lesha, like a lesha of avidya remaining, a fraction of avidya remaining, a shadow of avidya remaining, a samskara of avidya remaining. This kind of expressions are used: avidya samskara, avidya chaya, avidya lesha. Avidya lesha does not mean binding avidya. Avidya lesha means that the body continues to exist as long as the prarabdha is. This avidya lesha is not binding avidya. Just creates the circumstances for the wise person. And he goes through these situations of life, remaining unaffected from his own standpoint. But then the prarabdha karma continues, and therefore this body, which is a result of prarabdha karma, also continues, means that the wise person continues to live. Because Lord Krishna himself said, Upadekshanti te jnana, in the verse 34, Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Jnaninas tattvadarshinaha te jnanam upadeshanti. The knowledgeable and wise people will impart knowledge to you. When can a wise person impart knowledge? Only when the wise person is alive. So that statement of Lord Krishna accepts that there is an entity called Jnaninaha Tattvada. There are people who are wise and enlightened, and then alone the Jnana Parampara can be there. The passing of the knowledge from the Guru to the Shishya can be there, provided there is an enlightened Guru. Otherwise it will be Ajnana Parampara. Our Puja Swami used to jokingly say, when he attended some of these conferences or was invited for giving a lecture, and there were a number of other people also giving talks. So somebody explained this verse like this. Same verse 34. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That is all fine. Upadekshantite jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Upadekshantite jnanam. But by the rule of Sandhi, you can imagine that an akara is elated, upadekshante ajnanam. Te ajnanam. When a is preceded by a, then the a is elated, upadekshante te jnanam. So that Pandita interpreted the second line as saying that upadekshante te ajnanam. Because there is no such entity as a jnani, therefore only ignorance is passed on. But jnanina tattva, Lord Krishna says, I don't know how that person interpreted, but Swami always jokingly quoted this. There will be ajnana parampara, andha parampara, andheneva niyate yathandhaha. the blind led by the blind, that's how the situation will be. There will be no knowledge. But then, Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamshashibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya. We salute the whole Guru Parampara, the whole lineage of the teachers and disciples. Brahmadibhya, beginning from Brahma, Lord Brahma. Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhya. Those who are linked to passing on this Brahma Vidya to the subsequent generation. Vamshashibhya, Mahadbhya, there is a Vamsha. There is a Pita Putra Vamsha and then Guru Shishya Vamsha, lineage. So we accept Jivan Mukti. So we accept that the Prarabdha Karma does not get destroyed by knowledge. The Prarabdha Karma continues to have its effect until it gets exhausted. For that, example is given of a potter's wheel. When a potter places, let's say, a lump of clay on his wheel and turns it and makes a pot out of that, he turns that wheel, then takes away the pot when it is ready, then also the wheel continues to rotate because of the earlier momentum. Similarly also this body continues to survive because of the momentum of the Prarabdha Karma. Therefore, Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Just as a blazing fire turns all the firewood to ash, so also the fire of knowledge turns all the karma to ashes. All the karmas from the standpoint of the wise person, because for a wise person there is no prarabdha karma also. But from the standpoint of the onlooker, the prarabdha karma remains. In other words, the vyavahara remains even for the wise person also. Goes through a variety of situations that the prarabdha karma destiny present before him. When the destiny is over, it departs from here. Now no karma remains in his account, therefore there is no rebirth. That's called Videha Mukti. Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti. Liberation while living, liberation when the body is not there. And so, Prarabdham te bhujyatam ataparah brahmatmana sthiyatam. May you experience the Prarabdha, then may remain as Brahmatma, as Brahman. So the Lord singing the glory of the knowledge. Either knowledge can be compared to a boat with which you cross the ocean of samsara, or knowledge can be compared to fire with which you burn all the bondage of karma. And in our practical life also, how does knowledge burn the karma? What does karma do? Karma creates various situations before us. If you do not allow the situation to affect us, then karma or situation does not affect us. Situation can create reaction in us, which is called bondage. The bondage of karma is when the karma phala can create a reaction in me. When the karma phala is just as success and creates in me a reaction that I am elated, there is harsha, elation. Or when karma phala is judged as failure, then creates in me shock or depression. When karma phala or any situation for that matter creates a reaction in me of kama, krodha, lobha, harsha, shoka, creates in me kama, lust or desire to enjoy, desire to indulge, makes me angry, invokes greed in me, creates hatred in me, creates desire to acquire, desire to get rid of. So when a situation which is karma phala creates in me a reaction like this, that is called the bondage of karma. If you want to say karma binds, then what karma does is bring about karma phala. And what is karma phala? A given situation is karma phala in as much as a situation is a result of my own past karma. If the situation is allowed to create reaction in me, then I am controlled by the situation. That's called the bondage. When there is no freedom, I become controlled. I am bound. So what is meant by freedom from karma is that the situation does not create any reaction in me. As my perception of myself changes, that I am just the consciousness, the self, unrelated to this body-mind sense complex and unrelated to the situation. Therefore, then the situation doesn't create any reaction in me. There is no success, no failure, just a situation. They come and go. In fact, for a wise person, every situation is manifestation of Brahman. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. A situation has a name and form. You can call it success with a name and form. Failure and a name and form. So karma brings about situations having a variety of names and forms. But the content of every name and form is Brahman. Asti, bhati, priyam is the content of every situation. And Lord Krishna said, Yena bhutani asheshena drakshasi atmani athomai. You will see all the bhutas beings in you. See yourself, the self of all the names and forms. So all names and forms become merely the vehicles of manifestation of self, manifestation of Brahma, which discussed in the 24th verse. Brahmarpanam brahmahavehi brahmagno brahmanahutam. For a wise person, everything is Brahman. Every name and form is manifestation of Brahman. So when you see Brahman, then there is no, the name and form is no effect. Said when this little earring sees all ornaments as gold, then the name and form of the ornament doesn't matter. Which only when name and form is gone reality, that's when it creates reaction in me that I am small and that is big, or I am big and that is small. So therefore, knowledge completely transforms my perception of myself, my perception of everything else. And therefore, it's the wrong perception that created all reactions and pain. When they are gone, no reaction, no pain, no helplessness, no bondage. Thus in every situation we can bring into operation this knowledge or this understanding. That look mind, this is a situation. You are branding that as success or failure. What it is a situation. What is the content of a situation? Ishvara manifests as a situation. As Pujya Swami said, what is in everything is in order. What is Ishvara. We can remind our, even if you don't see Ishvara, we can remind ourselves, hey, Ishvara in this form. Ishvara in the form of the friend or the enemy. As success or failure. As honor or dishonor. Even if we do not see ourselves as Brahman, we can certainly remind ourselves that look, this is what the reality is. Even if the mind does not see that reality right now, the reality remains that. And just as I am right now taking into account the name informs success and failure, I should also take into account the fact that these are costumes in which same Brahman, same self, same Ishvara manifests. Its impact will be reduced. This is how we can bring into operation this knowledge in every situation. And perhaps we will not enjoy the total freedom that a wise person enjoys. But the impact of the situation will definitely be reduced. Jnanagnihi sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Arjuna, similarly, this fire of knowledge reduces all the actions. Meaning the binding effect of the action, understand? Action remains. Situation remains. But the binding effect of the action. The example is like the seed is roasted, then the germinating capacity of the seed is destroyed. So also a seed of karma is roasted in the fire of knowledge. The germinating capacity of creating reaction is destroyed. Lord Krishna singing the glories of the knowledge. So freedom can be described as freedom from karma. Meaning freedom from the reaction that normally a karma phala creates. That's all. Karma does not bind. Nothing binds. World does not bind. Situations do not bind. The body does not bind. They are what they are. In fact, I wanted to make a point here also. That Swamiji, if knowledge destroys ignorance, then it should also destroy the effect product of ignorance. We can accept that formula also. But we should remind ourselves that there is two kinds of creation, Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ignorance also is at the individual level and at the collective level. At collective level, the ignorance is called Maya, which is Vishuddha Sattva Pradhana Prakriti. That is the ignorance of Ishvara, the Upadhi of Ishvara, not ignorance, which is a Vishuddha Sattva Pradhana, where Sattva is predominant. But the Maya does not bind Ishvara. It empowers Ishvara to create, sustain, etc. The individual level, ignorance is Malina Sattva Pradhana, where Sattva is overpowered by Rajas and Tamas. So what is binding is the Jiva Srishti, the creation of Jiva. Panchadashi, in his Dvaita Viveka Prakarana, discusses twofold creation, Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. What we confront is Ishvara Srishti. The universe of names and forms is created by Ishvara. And Ishvara Srishti does not bind. Ishvara Srishti, or creation of Ishvara, is meant to provide the field to exhaust our karma and provide us with the necessities of life for sustenance of the body, etc. So that way Ishvara Srishti has usefulness in our life. Then what is Jiva Srishti? Because of my ignorance, which is Malina Sattva, where the Sattva is overpowered by Rajas Tamas, Rajas brings about identity with the body, mind, sense complex. From that is created ahankara, mamakara, the sense of individuality, the sense of possessiveness. From that ragadveshas. All of this is called jiva srishti. My individual ignorance and products of my ignorance, which is ahankara, the sense of individuality, mamakara, the sense of ownership, raga, attachment, dveja, aversion, kama, krodha, lobha, is all jiva srishti, product of my ignorance. Therefore, when knowledge takes place within me, then my ignorance goes. This body is not the product of Maya, this body is Ishvara Srishti. This body, which I call my body, is really nothing but part of the whole creation. If this universe is created by Ishvara, then body also is part of creation. Therefore, this body also is creation of Ishvara. So when my ignorance goes and the products of my ignorance go, my removal of my ignorance does not remove the creation of Ishvara, which is product of Maya. Therefore, as long as this body is present, so long I have to confront the Maya, Ishvara Srishti. But if the Jiva Srishti is not there, Ishvara Srishti does not bind. My ahankara binds, my mamakara binds, my ragadveshas bind. They create in me helplessness, they create all desires and craving, they create reaction, they create grief and delusion. When knowledge of the true nature of myself takes place, then no complex, vidyate hruday granthi, all complexes are gone. Complex is born of identification, the body, mind, sense complex, they're all gone. Where I see myself as completely distinct from the body. So no ahankara, no mamakara, no ragadvesha, they all go in the wake of knowledge. It may take a little while to overcome this habitual error by nididhyasanam. So even after the knowledge takes place, aham brahmasmi, I need to make that knowledge spontaneous by constantly retaining that knowledge of vritti in my mind. So the new samskara are created, I am Brahman. The old samskara are there, I am the body. They are to be completely overtaken by the new samskaras, I am Brahman. And now, I am Brahman, when that alone reigns, no more samskaras, I am the body, then the individual ignorance is completely gone. Then there is no ahankara, no mamakara, no raga, no dvesha. And therefore now, what is Ishvara Srishti? The wise person simply lives in Ishvara Srishti, creation of Ishvara. The projection of our mind is Jiva Srishti, no more projection. He sees things as they are. He sees things as Brahman, manifestation of Brahman. And therefore, even if we accept that formula, that knowledge destroys ignorance and destroys products of ignorance, my self-knowledge destroys my ignorance and destroys products of my ignorance called Jiva Srishti. But this body is Ishvara Srishti. So body continues to remain as long as the destiny is there. When that goes, then the wise person, there is no confrontation with Ishvara Srishti also. So that way, Jivan Mukti is explained in Vedanta. It is a very important concept. Then only Jnana Parampara can be there, then only teaching by the wise people can be there. Jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. In a manner similar to that, the fire of knowledge burns all the karma, you can say. The whole Jiva Srishti is completely gone. And that way, the person becomes totally free. Because Ishvara Srishti does not bind. Jiva Srishti alone binds. And Jiva Srishti is product of the ignorance of Jiva. Where ignorance of Jiva goes, Jiva Srishti also goes, all bondage goes, and that's how makes him free. So either you can say, knowledge is like a boat which helps me cross the ocean of samsara, ocean of karma, or the knowledge is like fire which burns all the karma, meaning renders all the karma ineffective. Karma in terms of the Ishvara Srishti remain, but have no effect on me at all because I am free from all the granthis or complexes. So I am liberated even when the body is there. That's a very beautiful concept and very beautiful thing to know. That moksha or liberation has to come in this lifetime. It is not something in the future. It is not in some other world like Svarga or some Brahmaloka. It is here in Martyaloka. And that should be our endeavor. Not wait for the next birth. Our endeavor is to become liberated while in this body. Because it is possible. It is possible to be liberated while in this body. It's called Jivan Mukti. And this Jivan Mukta they describe in Upanishads very elaborately. Lord Krishna describes Jivan Mukta in Bhagavad Gita a number of places, like Sthita Prajna, Jivan Mukta. Like the Bhakta that we talked about in 4th chapter, Jivan Mukta, the Karma Yogi. The Bhakta in the 12th chapter is Jivan Mukta. The Gunatita in the 14th chapter, Jivan Mukta, and so forth. And so Vedanta uses this goal of our life. Jivan Mukti is a goal that we can be liberated while in this body. Otherwise, Mahati Vinastihi, as the Upanishad says, Kenopanishad says, Yacheda Vedit, Atasatyamasti, Nachedeva Vedit, Mahati Vinastihi. While we are in this human embodiment, if we fulfill the goal of life, then the life has gained fulfillment. Otherwise, Mahati Vinasti, we do not know, a great calamity may be waiting for us. That is to say, just to encourage us to strive as best as we can, to do what best we can do, to gain the knowledge here and now. Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.